And so as I was really this close to going back to what I had prepared, my wife sent me a 11-minute podcast that was a clip from someone else's message, and it was identical to what God was telling me to preach on, what the men had dove into on Monday night. And I was like, all right, God, this is what you want. This is what we'll do. And it goes along with that word I just gave. I really feel that God wants to awaken our desires this morning. I really feel like if my job this morning is just to be the coach, and that is to inspire you to dream, that is inspire us to believe in the impossible. And if all that happens is that one person walks out of this room this morning and has allowed their dreams to be awakened, then I'm believing for big things to come from that. And so this morning we're going to dive into this, just this message about dreaming again. It's some of it is what we talked about on Monday night as men, but God desires that. He wants to awaken our hearts. He wants to reignite passions that He's placed in us that might have been buried for a long time. And He wants to do that this morning. He wants to just give us the belief in the impossible again, just like when we were kids. How many of us as a kid, all the different things you think of, I'm going to be, what do you say? Like Trinity, when you're a boy, and if I would have asked you when you were 4 or 5 years old, what are you going to be when you grow up? What do you think you would have said? Someone in the army. To him, it was a soldier. And in his heart, when you asked him, what are you going to be? Do you think he believed that 100% as a little boy? Yes, he did. Because as a child, you believe in the impossible. You believe in the miracles. You believe in the things that are just crazy. You could have asked me, I would have said pro athlete immediately. I would have said pro athlete. And I would have believed 100% that's what I was going to be. That's what I was going to do. Because there wasn't doubt, and there wasn't fear, and there wasn't hurt telling me that I couldn't do that. It's the child that's literally going to jump off the tallest thing he's ever climbed up on and saying, I'm going to fly. I've built these wings inside. I've built this parachute or whatever it is, and I'm gonna jump off this. It's gonna be okay. Because in their hearts, that passionate belief in the impossible, where do you think that came from? Do you think that's just the way we were? God put that in us. He gave us that. He gave us that passion. He gave us that excitement. He gave us that belief in that anything is possible because He knew that He wanted it to be squarely focused on Him. And He knew that there were going to be all kinds of doubts and fears and hurts that this world was going to throw against us that was going to try to bury that belief. And so as a child, man, we believe in everything. What were some of your dreams? Think back for just a minute. What were some of the things you dreamed about? And maybe it wasn't just a little boy. Maybe you got a little older and you're a teenager and you just begin feeling like this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to become this. Or the first time you see something miraculous happen in your life and you want to be a part of that. Think about something in your life that was a dream. How passionate you were about it. How excited you were about it. And you believed in it. You believed it was possible, or you wouldn't have continued dreaming it. The only time that dream goes away is when we stop believing it can happen. And I'm not sitting here today that I want everybody to go out of this room and say, okay, you wanted to be a pro football player, and you wanted to be a concert pianist, and you want to be all these different things, and go do it now, people, because that's what you need to do. Some of those were just passion and excitement that God placed in me, and they weren't exactly the will of my life. But He put that passion, that excitement in me because He wanted me to aim it right on Him and go after the huge plans He had for me, the huge plans He's got for you. What were some of those dreams? Think back. What was the level of passion and excitement you had? I'm going to set up this video. We watched it as a men's group on Monday night. This is from the movie, I believe it's called Dreamer, older movie, and it's about a family basically. And it's in this scene, I want to set it up, is the daughter. She is dreaming big, but everybody else around the table, the dad, the mom, the grandpa, the two friends. One's a former jockey that had fallen off a horse, and he wasn't doing what he was passionate about anymore because he didn't believe that he could anymore. And you have the grandpa that's just kind of hurt by life. You have the dad that's kind of resolved to be in a place in his life where this is what it is. This is how it works in the world, and this is what it is. And you have this little girl who challenges them with her dream. Her dream of this horse that had broken its leg because it was raced by the owner when it shouldn't have been raced. The dad was a trainer and said, you shouldn't race it. The owner says, no, we're going to race it. And the horse breaks its leg. They end up adopting this horse, and this little girl believes in the impossible. And I want you to watch this clip of her sharing her dream.
You can stay with all right, here we go. Hello. Here we go. Hello.
I want to thank everyone for coming, and I've scouted all of Sonia Dore's possible races, and I've picked one I know she can win.
Really? Good.
And when is this race?
Saturday, October 29th. Gotten the best jockey. His name is Madeline Vallarta.
Wait, I'm Madeline Vallarta.
You once told me you were the greatest jockey in the world, and I believe you.
That'll teach you.
That's sweet. Thank you, Cal. Thank you, but I can't. I'm not ready. I'm fat, and I gotta slim down, right, man?
Pretty sure the 29th of October is the same day as the running of the Breeders' Cup Championship, isn't it?
Biggest day in racing.
Yeah, the Breeders' Cup is what, 8 races worth $14 million?
Yes, I don't think you want to run in any race on the same day as the Breeders' Cup.
You're right. We shouldn't run in any race the same day as the Breeders' Cup. That's why we're going to run in the Breeders' Cup.
Oh! That's ambitious.
Well, you know, you can't just show up with your horse at the Breeders' Cup, honey, and say, hey, I'm here. I want to run in the Classic. It just doesn't work that way.
Be nice if it did.
Do you know what the selection process is?
14 horses, first 7 are greatest stakes wins, points. Last 7 are... No, I don't really.
The last 7 they base on overall performance during the year. But they do have the ability to make a judgment call. I'm going to take a shot. It's a long shot, but why not Sonia Dore? Why not us?
Why not Sonia Dore? That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we going to the Breeders' Cup.
Did you really not know how the last 7 horses were chosen?
No, I didn't. Why would I? I never been there. But if Sonia does get in, I can tell you there's going to be huge fees for a race like that. So, you know, this is a pipe dream.
Remember dreams, Ben? This one's Kale's.
So we're going to go right into the next clip, and I wanted to play this next clip because you just saw the girl's dream. You just saw her sharing it with the family. You see the doubt in their eyes, and you see the kind of the adult way that we focus on sometimes a child's dream. We go, oh, that's cute. That's cute. That's a really nice dream. And inside we're going, that'll never happen. How many times do we do that? Oh, we'll hear a dream from someone else. That's great. Oh, man, I'm really excited that you are that passionate, but you're crazy. All right? So we do that because we're sitting there going, oh, there's no way. And the dad's doing that. He's thinking about the money it'll cost. First of all, to even get selected, all the different things that would have to happen for his little girl to see that dream come about. And the mom says, just let her live her dream. Let her have it. Maybe we don't get in, but let her dream. And so this next scene is they've been selected. They're running in it. And this horse that is supposedly going to have no chance. Let's watch what happens.
Thanks, Pop. Thanks for everything. Thank you. 257 negated for one. That's $20,000. I'm back.
You are a great champion. When you ran, the ground shook. The sky opened and mere mortals parted. Part of the way to victory, where you'll meet me in the winner's circle, where I'll put a blanket of flowers on your back.
So if that little girl has that dream and she doesn't get to live it, what happens to that little girl after that? Maybe they never race in that race because before they even try, the parents shut it down. See, that's what happens in life. We get hurt, things happen, and our dreams, we allow our dreams to be shut down, and we stop dreaming, and we stop believing in the impossible. That little girl was set up for the rest of her life, believing that no. Why not me? Why not us? Why not COA? Why not? Who said it can't be? Who said cancer can't be healed? Who said miracles don't happen? Who told me that I was born without a shot in the dark of ever living my dreams? Who said that? Did God say that? God didn't say it. Why not us? Why not you? During the men's group, we began talking about as a child, we believe big, we dream huge. You know, I put down the example is that as a little kid, if you have a dad that's in your life, there is no doubt that he's the strongest, he's the fastest, he's got the biggest guns, he's just going to win at everything because it's your dad. If he's holding your hand, nothing can happen to you. That belief, that passion, you know, that you can be that pro athlete or whatever it is that you wanted to be. My daughters that say, man, I'm going to be a princess. I am a princess. As a child, I didn't ever wonder if the good guys beat the bad guys. I never even thought about that. Never once. I knew that the good guys won. I knew the heroes won. When did that belief stop happening in our life? When did we stop believing in the power of God? You see, Satan knows that throughout life, if he is able to use the pain that we experience, the traumatic things we walk through, if he can separate us from that passion, that belief, that excitement, he knows he won, because we will never walk fully into the will of God in our lives. We'll never start believing again that the impossible is possible, that the impossible is the normal in the kingdom of God. He wants us separated from the Lord, from our identity and who our Father is. See, when that happens, that's when those dreams become those far-off things that will never happen. And we become content with the mediocre. We sit in the middle of life and we say, oh, that's great. I might have had that dream, or maybe someone spoke that over me, but nah, that'll never happen. I know my life. I know who I am. That's not going to happen. The story of Joseph from Genesis 37. When we look at that story, here's this little boy who's loved by his father, who's loved by God. He's given dreams. And yeah, maybe his passion went a little overboard, and he probably shared parts he probably shouldn't have with his brothers at that time. And there were parts that they took wrong, but man, God gave him that dream, and he believes that it's going to happen. He believes in what God showed him. And then life hits. Jealousy overtakes his older brothers. And if you look at his life, they not only plot to kill him, they decide, well, we don't want the blood on our hands because he is our blood. He is our family. So we'll just put him in the pit and we'll leave him, and we didn't kill him. He'll just die there. I mean, think about that. And then they decide, well, instead of just leaving him pit, why don't we profit off of this? We'll sell him into slavery. And so as this wagon train, whatever you want to call it, comes by, they sell him into slavery. And then it goes on in his life. We see it happen. We see him be accused falsely. We see him imprisoned falsely. We see all these things happen. But do you realize that at any point in Joseph's life, if he had allowed the hurt, the false accusations, the tragedy in his life being ripped away from his daddy as a young boy, you realize that if at any point in time he would have stopped believing in his God, in the impossible, in the dreams that God had given him, we would not know the story of Joseph today as we do. God did not force Joseph into the successful part of his life. That came from Joseph holding on to a dream he was given as a boy. He believed the impossible. He believed in that when God tells me this is going to happen, it happens. And I don't know exactly how it's going to look, but I know that came from God. But at any point in time, if he had became angry, jealous, bitter, stopped believing, allowed doubt and fear, he would have never experienced the end game of that dream. He would have never been able to live out his God-given dream. See, think about it. We've talked about this. If Satan knows he can't defeat God in a battle, that part is already done. That result's already been written. We've talked about where's he go next to affect God? If I can't hurt God in a battle, where can I hurt him? I'll hurt him where his heart loves the most. I'll go after his children. I'll go after the apple of his eye. And we've talked about this before. So he comes after us knowing he can't defeat God in battle, but I can hurt God by going after his children. Because that's where God's love is. The one thing that created the wow moment in God created the earth, he created all these things, and we've talked about this, and then he creates us, and he goes, wow, that's good. That's my prize. That's the creation I love the most, my children. And so Satan knows this, and he wants to go after us. He wants to separate us from that belief in the impossible. If he can create doubt, if he can cause fear in our hearts, we'll never live completely in our Father's will. We'll never operate fully in our Father's power. We will not see the miracles that God wants to perform through us. Look at all the other examples in the Bible. You have Abraham, who was given a dream, who was given a prophecy that, Abraham, I'm going to give you a son. But he begins to doubt it by time goes by. He begins to say, this isn't going to happen. That's impossible. My wife's too old. So he takes things into his own hands. We see it all over the Word of God. We see the disciples who have been through a storm on the boat with Jesus present. The same thing happens. A storm comes up and he quiets it. He's there with them. And then again it happens after just seeing the thousands of people fed from just a little boy's lunch, basically. They just saw a massive miracle. They've already gone through a storm with Jesus on a boat. A storm happens again, except this time Jesus is not with them. And they doubt and they fear. And they stop believing in the impossible. Think about it. We see it all over. And Jesus says, it's like Jesus wants to look at them and go, guys, do you not remember who I am? Did you not remember what we just saw happen? Do you not remember the storm where I quieted it? What happened? What happened from then till now? Call on your Father. Quiet the storm in His power. We see it in the story Brian talked about with Joshua and Caleb. The spies are sent out. They go into the land that was promised to them by the Father. And they see, first of all, that we see them collecting fruit, if we want to call it that. because a cluster of grapes, and it says, I believe, some pomegranates, it says, and there's a third thing. Whatever, name your fruit that you love. It's huge, people. They got to carry it with 2 guys. But then they start looking around, and they see this beautiful land of opportunity where the land is just, it's the best they've seen. But then they see the enemy. And they see descendants of Anak, and they see which were giants to them. They see these armies. So 12 are sent out, and they come back. They've all seen the same thing, correct? 10 of them do what we're talking about today. And they say, no way. I've been through battle before. I've lived defeat before. There ain't no way we're taking that land. We're not capable of it. Don't do it. We'll get slaughtered. There's no way. That's impossible. We cannot do this. And 2 of them say, that is what we've been promised by God our Father. Let's go take it. What are you talking about? We've already been promised victory. Guys, don't doubt it. We've got to go. They've all seen the same thing, and 10 of them are separated by doubt and fear and unbelief. 2 of them said the impossible is possible with God. 2 of them. Why not us? Why not CLA? Why not you? Because Satan knows in James 1:6, this is what God says. But when you ask him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. Do not waver. For a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Satan knows that if he can take our eyes off of the prize and we become divided in our mind, double-minded, we will fail. We will run away when the first sign of the enemy comes. We will fail every time because it tells us in the scriptures that if you are double-minded, you will not succeed. Your eyes have to be on me alone. Your faith has to be on me alone. And then you will not waver. That's what the 2 said. The 2 said, guys, you've got your eyes on the enemy. You know what? I'm going to choose to look at this produce over here and go, whoa, I don't care who the enemy is. That whole example is saying, do I have my eyes on the promised land or do I have my eyes on the enemy and what I think he can do? Because if I'm over here and I'm focusing on him, man, it's going to get a little scary. And it's going to feel like I can't do it. And every little molehill becomes a mountain. And defeat becomes lasting. And it becomes my normal. Failure becomes my normal because I'm not over here focusing on God. I'm not spending time in his presence. I'm not aiming my eyes at him. I'm not believing in his power. I'm believing in mine. So Satan knows, man, if I can get them to be in that place where they're wavering, double-minded. He also knows the opposite of that, what is possible, because in Luke 18:27, he replied, what is impossible from a human perspective is possible with God. In Luke 1:37, for nothing is impossible with God. So he knows I've got 2 options. My goal is to get them to be double-minded, because I know if they're not double-minded and they're focused on him, the impossible becomes possible. And do you know what? Winning is contagious. Winning is contagious. Well, one thing I loved about coaching is when I was coaching in high school basketball or anything like that, is getting the kid that didn't believe himself to believe in himself. I loved it. I'm going to be real honest with you. I think the last division winners in Colfax basketball was when me and Isaac were there. I'm not lying to you. I've always joked that the worst thing in the world is when I walk into the lobby of that high school and still see our teams on the wall as the last division winners. And so a lot of the kids that I would coach were content with losing. It just became normal to them. Because that's what happens. We're not good in basketball, they'd say. We don't have the height. We don't have the skill. We don't have... And so what happens is they resign themselves to not practicing, to not training, to not getting stronger and better, because they just think, well, I mean, I know what happens. I show up, we lose. But I loved when you could grab a hold of one of those kids and get them to believe in themselves. My dad always jokes with me, I didn't start playing my best basketball till my freshman year of college, because most of it was mentally. Yeah, I played pretty good junior and senior, but it was like a buildup. And then as soon as things started clicking and I go, oh yeah, I do believe in myself. When you can get someone to do that, winning is contagious. When you can show them that the impossible is possible, and you can allow them space to dream, it will multiply around you. Why not you? Why not us? Why not CLA? We've talked about desiring a move of God's Spirit, a fresh new wave of revival. Why not here? Why does it have to start in some new hip whatever in this place in the country? Why not here? Why not here? Some of us have just gotten tired. We're tired of trying to succeed. We're tired of dreaming and seeing them not come about. We're tired of failing. We're tired of hurt. We're tired of what life is throwing against us. I've got something for us right now. Stop trying. Stop. I'm asking you to stop all that. What you're tired of, stop. Whoever that applies to this morning, stop trying. Take your eyes off of what you think has happened in the past and what you think will happen in the future and put them on God, and I guarantee both will change. Not only will you see your past differently, you will have a new future. I'm asking us to stop trying. Isaiah 40, 27 through 31. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. If you're tired, stop trying and focus on Him. Because that scripture tells us we will soar like on the wings of eagles. You ever watched an eagle fly? It looks effortless. It's not like a hummingbird where they're flapping their wings forever. I mean, just like crazy fast. You watch them fly and looks like they're not even trying. That's what he's talking about. Because we're not relying on our strength, we're relying on His. Let Him be that eagle under you. If you're tired right now, rest in Him. Stop trying and ask Him to help you dream again. Ask Him to give you your passions back. Ask Him to bring excitement back into your heart, to reignite the passion that He designed us for. There, our strength will be renewed. I also want us to realize that the end result or the destination of that dream, so we get a dream, I want us to realize that the end that we see in that dream is not what it's all about. Okay, I want you to hear me on this. Is if you only focus on the end, you'll get discouraged about where you are right now. And you will miss the process and the climb to the end. And there is a ton that He wants to do in you and through others around you while you are climbing towards that dream. So it's great to have the light at the end of the tunnel, that vision of what God's got for you. But don't be so focused on the end result that you miss out on the process and what He wants to do through you during this time of training. Because if you do, it's the person that slips into just a depressed state that dream isn't happening. Because they're so focused on the end result, they forgot what God wants to do to get them there. God never told you in a dream that He was just going to go like this, and that dream happens right now. Because much of what he wants to do is in you through the process and through the others around you during that time. So many times we see someone else's dream and we lose track of where we are currently and we begin to lose traction. We see someone else that's much further in the process of reaching the dream that God gave them and we become jealous. And we go, why aren't I there? Maybe I started climbing after this dream before they did. Why is it taking so long in my life, God? And we miss out on what he's doing right then, and we begin to lose traction in building towards that dream. Don't miss out on what he's doing right now. I told you that the competitive side of me is, I'm really glad that God didn't call me to a church that's 1,000 people and financially we got millions to make. Well, I mean, I'd like that. It'd make things a lot easier. But that's just not me. I don't want to take over a basketball team that's already winning championships. And the recruiting's easy at that point because you've built the system. I want us to be the church that builds from right where we're at. And we are dreaming again, and we see what's out ahead of us, and we live in the process. We love the process. We want the training. We want to be prepared for what's coming. I want to be a part of seeing that process. I want to look back in 10 years and go, look at those communities, that one soul that was saved, or some of the people that got saved at the carnival that night, or some of the times that have happened in other places here at CLA. I want to look back and go, that was just the beginning. That was the beginning of thousands of people getting saved. That was the beginning of thousands of people's lives being touched. That was the beginning of this church completely shaking their community. Because they believed in the impossible. Because a small group of people said the impossible is possible. And I will not give up on the dreams that God has given me. I won't come back and tell others to focus on the enemy. I'll come back and tell you to focus on the dream. And I'll desire more. And man, I don't want you to go fight that battle. I want to be a part of it. I don't want to come back as a spy and say, okay guys, go do your job. I want to be a part of that battle that God is sending us into. Megan was saying something to me yesterday about how so many times as Christians, when something doesn't happen that we were given a dream, we just say, well, God's in control, so there's really not much I can do about it. And we joke that becomes a Christian excuse. So when things don't go the way that we believe that God told us they were going to happen, we go, God's in control. There's not really much I can do about it. That's what he wanted. If God was in control, what we were saying was, why does he ask you and I to fast? Why does he ask us to spend time praying? Why does he ask us to call Lazarus from the tomb? When we say God's in control in that way, what we're saying is that, man, God's just made us robots and he's going to do whatever he's going to do anyway. Do you realize that it's kind of like when you ask Siri and you're going, you said, hey, Siri, take me to here, whatever, and it brings up the maps and you're driving along and you decide to do a quick detour over to pick up some food and she's like, rerouting, right turn, rerouting, right turn, rerouting. And you hear that? Do you realize that God's not going to force his dream on you? And he's not going to drag you into it either. Do you realize that when we choose to stop believing in the impossible, he will give that dream to someone else? He will do a rerouting. Say, this dream's going to happen. And I want you to be a part of it. But if you're not willing to go, then I will find someone that is. He will not force it on us. He won't force his dreams on us. We cannot grow content with not believing in the impossible. I don't want to miss out on the dreams that God has given us. I don't want to miss out on the dreams that he's put over CLA because we stopped believing in the impossible. Let's begin to take back our hearts. Let's ask God to take back our hearts. Let's begin to dream again. Let's ask God for more. And I'm asking us today that as we go into this holiday season, as we go into supposedly a time when we're all supposed to set New Year's resolutions, that none of them actually happen. I'm talking about not dreams. I'm talking about the ones where we all say, well, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to start this. And what better resolution than to go into this time and say, God, I want to dream again. I want passion about your dreams. And I'm going to tell you this, if the dream does not scare you to death, it's probably not from God. It's probably just something you think is really good, and it might be really good. But his dreams will push you beyond everything you are comfortable with because they're God's. They are the impossible without him. Do not come away with a vision that doesn't just blow your mind. God's visions, God's dreams, you cannot do without him. They will be this, you heard that term, scary, audacious dream. In a lot of business books and leadership books, you'll hear the huge, scary, audacious dreams or visions. That's what God is going to give some of you. Some of you are on your way. You see the dream and you're working your way towards it. Some of you, God is going to give a really scary, audacious dream that will probably shake you. And you will have a choice to either focus on the why we can't and come back and tell others that the enemy is too big, or you will have the choice of saying this is a God-given dream, and with him it is possible. I don't know how, I might not know how yet, but I know it's possible because of who God is. And I'll go back to the camp, CLA, and I will tell others to focus on the promise and not on the enemy. That's how we take back our hearts, is we begin challenging each other to go to God and say, God, strip me of the fear and the doubts that I've allowed to become so huge in my life that they just hold me down. And that everything you show me, I fear, I doubt, I don't believe. I say why it won't happen. And I live in this double-minded state. And Satan's got me right where he wants me because he knows I'm not going to step into that dream because of it. God, I don't want it anymore. I don't want to be content with the mediocre. I don't want to see Lazarus die and believe it's too late. I want to go, no, it's not. All we got to do is ask Jesus to call him forth. I don't want to be the spy that comes back and discourages people. God, I want to be a spy that comes back and encourages and inspires those around me to live for their dreams that God has given them because I'm doing the same thing in my life. Why not you? Why not me? Why not CLA? Who told us it can't happen here? Would everybody please stand up? Some of you right now need to begin focusing. I'd ask you just to remember a dream that God has given you that maybe you've let die. Some of you, it's been a long time since you've dreamed. And I want you to begin to ask God now, Lord, I want new dreams. I want to wake up, or I want to be going through my day, and I want you to give me a new dream and passion that shakes me to my core. I don't want to be a part of something small. Some of you are so bound up with fear and discouragement, you're going to need to come forward and ask God to break that loose and to break those chains, because those chains will bind you from ever entering into that big dream that God has for you. Megan shared a while back about how when she began asking God, what is holding me back? What chains in my life are holding me back from what I'm seeing you're wanting me to step into? And she was looking and looking and looking, and then God showed her, Megan, it's you. You're holding your back. And this vision of, in your dream, you're holding the chains that are holding you back. That's what fear and doubt will do. They literally we begin to hold ourselves back from ever walking into what God has for us. And so, Tina, I believe in you. Pick something and put it on. I want the worship team to be able to do the same thing that we're going to do. And I'm asking you to just take this moment, and then you'll be able to go home. Take this time and go after God and say, God, help me dream. God, inspire me. God, I want passion. I don't want to doubt your power. I don't want to doubt who you are. Stop for just 2 seconds on what's coming next, lunch or plans. This is way bigger than that. This is the promises that God has over our lives. If we could just turn down the lights. If you want to get it alone with God at your seats, if you want to come forward, we're definitely here to pray over you. But I want us to go after the passion that God has placed inside of us.